Well, Black Friday 2021 is rapidly approaching, but many holiday shoppers are not waiting for the day after Thanksgiving to start their purchasing, and many retailers are definitely not waiting until after Turkey Day to start offering deals. So this week we wanted to highlight some of the top budget streaming devices currently on the market. Several of those options regularly retail for below $50, and thanks to various Black Friday and other holiday deals, you can often find them for significantly below that $50 mark. And so if you're looking for, say, a nice stocking stuffer or maybe a Secret Santa gift for that special someone, and you'd rather keep it well below $50 or so, this video's for you. These are the best budget streaming devices for 2021. Meet our contestants. So before we dive into the entries in the budget category, let's briefly talk about what we mean by a budget streaming device. And here in 2021, we're generally talking about a device that usually retails for significantly less than $50. The hardware that hovers around the $50 mark, including those $49.99 options, are what we generally consider the mid-range tier. And you can check out the top choices in that pricing bracket in our recent video, which we'll link to in the video description down below. But for this video, we're dropping down a tier for more affordable but still plenty capable streaming devices. First up is Roku's Express 4K Plus, which regularly retails for $39.99. This particular model was released back in the spring of this year, so it's a recent entry in the budget streaming device market. And despite its low price, Roku's packing in 4K streaming output and HDR support, including HDR10, HDR10 Plus, and HLG. But it does lack the Dolby Vision standard you'll see on higher priced Roku models. And if you'd like to learn more, definitely check out our full review of the Roku Express 4K Plus, which we'll link to again in the video description down below. Next up is a veteran streaming device, relatively speaking. It's TiVo Stream 4K, which was released back in 2020. Nowadays, the dongle-style streaming device retails for around $39.99, though of course keep an eye out for sales. The Stream 4K runs on the popular Android TV operating system and includes a mini-sized version of TiVo's familiar peanut-shaped remote control. And we also reviewed the TiVo Stream 4K last year, and we'll include a link to that video as well. Next up is Amazon's Fire TV Stick. Now this is the third generation of Amazon's non-4K Fire TV Stick, and it regularly retails for $39.99. And as we just said, this is the non-4K version of the company's popular Fire TV line, so definitely keep that in mind when making a purchase. It might not be the best for a huge 4K screen, but it definitely could be right at home on a secondary TV in a bedroom, home office, etc. And as you might have guessed, we've got a review of that device linked down below in the video description in case you want to learn more about Amazon's budget streamer. And we also have a bit of a wild card to discuss. It's Amazon's former top of the line, the Fire TV Stick 4K. Now this model usually retails for $49.99, but the company has recently released an updated model called the Fire TV Stick 4K Max. And for the holidays, the regular 4K model is seeing some significant discounts. As of the recording of this video, the Fire TV Stick 4K is on sale for $24.99. Now, we're not sure how long this model will stay in stock now that the Max is available. This could be Amazon's way of clearing out remaining inventory, but whatever the case, it's a solid price for a 4K capable streaming device and deserves to be mentioned in this budget roundup. Last but certainly not least, we've got a duo of budget streaming devices courtesy of mega retailer Walmart. The company released a 4K and a 1080p streaming device at extremely competitive prices. The ON Android TV UHD streaming device, as you might have pieced together from the name, runs on Android TV, supports UHD or Ultra High Def 4K video, and is in fact a streaming device. It regularly retails for the low price of $29.88, but we've seen it discounted all the way down to $19.88, which is an extremely attractive price for a 4K streamer, at least on paper. Walmart also offers a 1080p option called the ON FHD streaming device, which typically retails for $24.88 but is currently marked down as well. As of right now, you can find the 1080p stick-style streaming device for as low as $14.88. And we'll also cover some honorable mentions you should also consider, so stay tuned for those. For now, these are some of the top budget streaming devices to choose from as we head into the 2021 holiday shopping season. Hardware specs and features. So to make our charts and spec breakdowns a little easier to read, especially on smaller screens, we're going to divide these up into a couple of categories. So first up, let's take a look at the budget streaming devices that top out at 1080p resolution, which includes Amazon's Fire TV Stick and the ON FHD streaming device. And here you can see the regular pricing, though we do note some of the current deals we've been seeing for all you holiday shoppers out there. And beyond just price, you'll also see some of the key hardware and included features that come with both of these devices. In general, these 1080p options usually don't sport the most advanced CPUs or the fastest storage, especially compared to some of the higher-end 4K models. And then moving on to our next group, we have the 4K capable budget streaming devices. And this group includes the Roku Express 4K Plus, the TiVo Stream 4K, the ON Android TV UHD streaming device, and the Fire TV Stick 4K. And like the previous comparison, you can check out pricing details, hardware specs, features, and more. And you should also note the onboard software for each of these devices. We've got representatives from a variety of well-known camps, including Roku OS, Fire OS, and Android TV. And we'll talk more about the various operating systems in our next section, but we did want to make sure we sized up the different specs for each of the devices we're discussing today. And then, when you're ready, we're going to move on to the software you'll be using when you pick up one of these budget streaming devices. Comparing software. So like we said in the earlier section, we're dealing with devices that sport some of the most popular streaming device platforms on the market, from Roku to Fire OS to Android TV. And as we discussed in our earlier look at $50 mid-range streaming devices, the various software platforms go about serving up your streaming needs in very different ways, and some users may prefer one approach over another. For Roku's Express 4K Plus, you've got the familiar Roku interface that focuses primarily on app icons and just serving up whichever service you're interested in. Relatively speaking, it's not terribly flashy, and the overall design philosophy seems to be to get out of the way and get you to your favorite streaming options as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, both Fire OS and Android TV focus much more on content instead of specific apps. So you'll see large artwork throughout these interfaces that tease recommended shows, movies, sporting events, and more. It's a much more visually dense approach, and some users may prefer that look as it could be considered a bit more modern. And as we suggested in our mid-range roundup video, be sure to factor in the actual software and not just the price of the device itself when making a purchasing decision. Whether you're buying this for yourself or for someone else, try to take into account which software experience makes the most sense for the intended user. Of course, just having a popular software platform on board is one thing. To be a worthy streaming device, however, you'll also have to run that software smoothly and reliably. So let's see what $20 to $40 can get you in the world of budget streaming devices. Performance benchmarks. Yes, it wouldn't be a hardware roundup if we didn't run our standard performance benchmarking suite. Now, before we get into the results, we need to point out that we did not have the ON Android TV UHD streaming device available for testing. However, we do have ON's 1080p FHD streamer on hand, so just a heads up as we reveal our results in a moment. But to get everyone up to speed, for these tests, we fire up a series of apps in succession to time how quickly devices can get them up and running. We start and end each test with loading Netflix to see if a device is able to load the app any faster the second time around, which could indicate quicker, more responsive performance for users that often flip through a number of different apps. So with all of that in mind, let's head to the results. For our 1080p entries, the Fire TV Stick came out ahead with a score of 156.25 seconds overall. The ON FHD streaming device turned in a time of 166.27 seconds to run through our suite. And neither device exactly broke records in our testing, but again, we're dealing with 1080p budget options here, so it's important to keep that in perspective. As for our 4K entries, the Roku Express 4K Plus comes out on top with a score of 96.43 seconds overall. The TiVo Stream 4K also fared well, and both were able to load Netflix much faster the second time around, suggesting a faster experience when jumping from app to app. The older Fire TV Stick 4K, meanwhile, turned in a time of 142.01 seconds. Honorable mentions. Now, before we get into our overall recommendations, we wanted to highlight a couple honorable mentions that might be worth looking at depending on your specific interest and budget. First up is the Fire TV Stick Lite, which is fundamentally an exact copy of the 1080p Fire TV Stick we've been discussing throughout this video. The key differences include a lack of onboard Dolby Atmos processing and a less capable remote control that doesn't include TV controls like the one bundled with the regular Fire TV Stick. Those cutbacks amount to a device that regularly retails for $10 less at $29.99. Though of course this is Amazon we're talking about, so keep an eye out for holiday deals. But if you want an affordable 4K player, take a look at the Roku Express 4K. Now that's a Walmart exclusive variant of the Roku Express 4K Plus, and all that's different is a less advanced remote control in the box. That remote lacks the TV controls of the 4K Plus option and the mic button for voice input. It's also infrared based, so you'll need to point it at your Express 4K to register commands. But at around $30 to $35 depending on sales, it packs a 4K punch in an affordable package. Wrapping it all up. So like we did with our mid-range roundup, let's apply some numbers to our budget category and see what we learn. For 1080p devices, we'd recommend the 3rd generation Fire TV Stick from Amazon. It combines solid, consistent performance with a well-known platform, and that value proposition only gets better if Amazon opts to discount the Fire TV Stick during the holidays, so keep it tuned to Cord Cutters News for any updates there. And as you check out the overall scores, be sure to take note of some of the areas where we took the current sale price into consideration. For example, the Fire TV Stick 4K's regular price would put it out of contention entirely, but that $24.99 sale price makes it a strong contender if you're looking for a budget device during the holidays. Also, as we mentioned, we were unable to test the ON UHD streaming device, so we couldn't assign a proper score there. However, based on our experience with its 1080p sibling, and judging from some of the user comments in our Cord Cutting Tech Support Facebook group, we opted to assign it a score of 7 for performance. And that's due in part to comments from some users in our Facebook group who have mentioned stability and performance issues with the ON streaming devices. Now, we've seen some significant patches and updates since they were first released, but unless you absolutely have to have an Android TV device for a rock bottom price, there are some better received choices available for not that much more money. Overall then, we'd recommend starting your budget streaming device shopping with the Roku Express 4K Plus, the TiVo Stream 4K, or the discounted Fire TV Stick 4K. And if price is your main or your only concern, the ON-branded options are attractive, though they haven't yet built up the fan base or perhaps the reputation for reliability that some of the others on this list have. So we hope this roundup was useful to anyone out there looking to pick up an affordable but still capable streaming device. If you've got a favorite you'd like to recommend, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to click on those like and subscribe buttons before you head out. We generally appreciate the support. And until next time, my name is Philip Palermo. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.